Oh, hello, dear viewer. Welcome to this series, where I try to convince you to watch a movie that I loved, which might have gone under the radar by you. There is another hidden agenda. I think I'm infatuated with Aunt May. Out of 4 recommendations so far, one was non-Hollywood. Out of the remaining 3, she was on 2 of them. Maybe it is just a coincidence. So today's movie, we have The Wrestler. Well, I hope I didn't scare you away. Just so we all understand, this movie is not about wrestling, which I think might have been a major reason for people to have skipped this movie. Instead, as the title suggests, it's a movie about a man who can do one thing well and keeps on doing it because of need, very skill, and pride. He wrestles for a living. He is the wrestler. Professional wrestling, as everybody knows, is fake. Well, that's what people think. I have been a fan of wrestling since childhood. Grew up watching Milf and Mighty Eager. Me and my dad had some fun time. So instead of using the word fake, I would use scripted. It's an inherently ridiculous activity. There is no genuine competitive drive. The costumes are camp. The participants grunting behemoths who pretend to hit each other. Our protagonist, Randy the Ram Robinson, is a battered, broke, lonely, washed-up star of the 80s professional wrestling scene, still roaring and crashing around the circuit to a diminishing crowd of nerdy male fans and dead-eyed blonde women known as ring rats. In the snow and slush of New Jersey, we see our wrestlers make the rounds of shabby union halls, school gyms, and community centers, using whatever they can find for dressing rooms, taping the damaged part, psyching themselves up, and discuss the match outcome. We learn how they make themselves bleed, prepare for violent surprises, talk through each match, and then the bell rings. Randy is poignantly in love with a pole dancer called Cassidy. She is herself getting too old for a business whose similarities to Randy's are made reasonably clear. They both shell out their body in a profession filled with younger blood. But while Cassidy gets dollar bills stuck in her stocking tops, Randy invites hopped-up guys in a crowd to smash metal fold-up chairs over his head before the action commences. After a horrendous heart attack, Randy is ordered by his doctors to quit wrestling or die. He decides to use this enforced leisure to re-establish contact with his estranged daughter Stephanie. In midst of all that, Randy is offered a big match rematch with his old enemy from the 80s glory days, the Ayatollah. Now that hating Iran is big again in America, this looks like box office gold. Surely, one more bout won't hurt. There are many subtle and not so subtle nods within the movie that would make sense to a wrestling fan. From the scene where Cassidy leaves her shoes behind in the strip club is the same where a wrestler would retire by leaving his or her boots behind. In fact, Ram's finishing move is a homage to the late great Macho Man Randy Savage. The daughter's story is almost the same as what happened to Jake the Snake Robert. The sad part for me was the scene where we see some old wrestlers in an empty convention trying to peddle their merchandise, and they really don't have any other means to support themselves. If you'd go to any wrestling convention in real world, you'd see the very same thing. There is another scene which was almost as sad. Ram had to get a job at a supermarket, and as he is putting on his jacket, hat, and gloves and getting ready to walk out behind the counter, he can hear the fanfare, all the crowd cheering his name. And as he walks past the plastic canvas screen, the fanfare dies down, leaving only the ambient of the supermarket. As for wrestling, the part they show is focused very much on hardcore matches. My favorite wrestlers are Bret Hart and Chris Benoit. Oops. And were technical wrestlers. So for me, the matches shown had way too much blood. But for the storytelling, it makes sense. The camera work is shaky and mostly over the shoulder shot that gives it a handheld documentary style video, which works quite well. Overall, I think it's a brilliant movie with some great character growth. To enjoy it, you will need to give it attention though. You may not be a fan of wrestling, but you will enjoy the story of Ram. As you might have noticed that this is quite a new channel, and during this genesis, comments and subscribe counts a lot more than usual. If you have enjoyed this content, I would implore you to like the video, and maybe post a comment to feed YouTube algorithm. You can even be a superstar and subscribe as well. If you dislike this video, please give me a thumbs down, and maybe take your time to tell me why in the comments below. You will find similar contents in my other videos. That's all. Have a safe day and signing off.